Good morning, everyone. Here today with another Dr. Cinema diagnosis. Now, the most recent film released by John Travolta, or at least one of the most recent ones, I don't know if he had another movie out this year or not, but the movie I'm talking about today, starring John Travolta, is Gotti, a biopic on the real life mobster John Gotti and his eldest son, for the last part anyway. So this is a biopic that has been in development hell for years. I'm probably for the better part of a decade at least, going through multiple directors, several producers. It's become a film that has a 0% critical score on Rotten Tomatoes. So you would think there's really nothing here to talk about. Well, not quite true. Let me just try and see if I can bring up the audience score for Gotti. Here we go. So, like I said, the film Gotti got a 0% critical score on Rotten Tomatoes, but when it initially came out, it had a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. Right now, the time I'm recording this, it has a 53% audience score, which is definitely down, but that's still over 50%. So it's gotten a bit of a reputation of sort of attacking critics and having fake reviews in order to increase its score on Rotten Tomatoes. So the question here today is, will the biopic Gotti starring John Travolta become a cult film? I mean, you usually don't know what film's going to end up getting popular in the future. I mean, usually when films become cult films, it's because people look back on the film and notice stuff they had noticed before. A prime example is being the movie Blade Runner. It didn't really get a lot of recognition at the time of its release, but now it's considered one of the best science fiction films of all time. Of course, films become cult films for the opposite reason, where the acting, directing, production, writing, or anything else related with it is just so bad and so out of place that it becomes one of the most hilarious films you've ever seen. The prime example of this being The Room, created by Tommy Wiseau. So, with that in mind, is there anything about Gotti that can make this a so bad it becomes a cult film for people? Well, the first half of the film is very all over the place in terms of editing, focus on characters and timeline. It's a pretty messy film. You can definitely tell multiple producers and multiple directors have been working on this one film. And in terms of atmosphere and tone, it is all over the place. At least most of that is contained to the first half of the film. For the second half of the film, it does get more focused. You this is probably the part of the film where the most recent attached director had the most control over because there's a clear focus on timeline, characters, tone, and atmosphere. I mean, still not really that great, but at least it has a sense of control and a sense of focus. But it doesn't really excuse the first half, which is really all over the place. And like I said, it has gotta become noted for attacking critics, calling them trolls with keyboards during its advertising around the time of its release. And of course, there was the whole issue of apparently several producers and such, or some people connected to the film, were writing up fake audience scores and apparently posting them on Rotten Tomatoes. Whether or not that's true, I really can't say, but I am still surprised that the audience score for Gotti is still over 50%. So, with that in mind, is there enough atten- was there enough media attention or so bad it's amazing content to it to make Gotti a cult film? Interesting point. So, in case you didn't hear Quachi, I don't really think Gotti is going to become one of those so bad it's hilarious cult films. I mean, there's just not really enough there. I mean, it was an intriguing watch. Like, it was very interesting to see how messed up the editing was in the first half and how it contrasts with the second half of the film that has much more focus. But it's not really one of those films that can qualify as being so bad it's good. And its media coverage, well, I think people have already, for the most part, forgotten about that. So I guess it's just going to become one of those small but relatively interesting footnotes on John Travolta's career. So, I guess to answer my own question, no, Gotti is not going to become a major cult film anytime in the near future or far future. That's really what I want to talk about today. Thanks for joining me, Quachi. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Dr. Cinema. See you next time.